Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Media Awareness. This is Rob with part 5 of my journey retrospective. If you have not seen parts 1 through 4, there will be links in the description below to those videos, as well as links to my Patreon page with the perks I offer there, and of course to my Facebook if you want to contact me there. That's also an option as well. Steve Perry later on in the conversation with Jonathan Kane about the future of Journey stated that he couldn't be part of the band. I'm paraphrasing. Um, and that he didn't really want to rush his medical decisions, which I can fully understand. It's his life, and he needed to take care of himself. The band wanted to proceed, and um, Perry left the band in its official capacity as a recording and touring entity. And the band held auditions for a new lead singer. But the band ultimately went with Steve Algeri, who had been in some other bands prior. He really made an impression on the band, and he was hired. Also, Steve Smith, longtime Journey drummer, decided to lead the band at that point as well. He was replaced by Dean Castronova, Bad English, Hardline, and numerous other projects. He's done so much, it's impossible to go on listing everything, but he's a fine, amazing drummer and a great vocalist, very underrated. Unless you actually have the opportunity to hear him, and then you know how good he is. So, with the new lineup of Steve Algeri, Neil Sean, Jonathan Kane, Ross Valerie, and Dean Castronova, the band went into the studio. They initially cut a song for the Armageddon soundtrack, and I totally missed that when it was out, but it was kind of an introduction to a new journey. And then in 2001, the official release of the full length studio album called Arrival came. And this album really impressed me tremendously. It was as if Journey had never left, but as if they had been reborn as well. Reborn for a new decade and a whole new audience, as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, record sales were down, and the album didn't do as well as Sony Records anticipated, so the band was dropped, and they put their next release out on their own label. It was an EP titled Red 13. This was a very good release. You could see the two different covers here. And I feel like this really was a good addition to the Journey catalog. And the next studio album was actually to celebrate the band's 30th anniversary, really, um, called Generations. And uh, unfortunately, this is where problems started creeping in. The Generations tour was hugely successful. They were actually performing a 3 hour set with an intermission, and they were performing material from the new album Generations, as well as older favorites, um, both prominent and more obscure. And at this point in time, Steve Algeri began suffering vocal issues. Bear in mind when you go out every night and you're singing with all of your being to put on a good show for everyone out there, you're going to have issues, especially singing in the registers that Steve Perry once sang in back in the 70s and 80s. Um, it's not easy music to perform live, and there were some accusations that Algeri was miming to pre-recorded backing tracks for lead vocals. This was denied by some, verified by others. No one really knows. What I do know is Algeri was dismissed from the band, and he now tours on his own, performing Dream material, as does Kevin Chalfant of The Storm, and formerly of Journey, even though he didn't record with them. So you can see both those guys on tour doing like a Journey tribute show. I digress, though. To replace Algeri, they hired Jeff Scott Soto, who was legendary at that point in time and is now even more legendary. I've seen him with Sons of Apollo. He is just phenomenal. So Soto stepped in, and Dean Castronova on drums was sort of offsetting Soto's vocals with his vocals, because what people don't realize about Dean, as I mentioned, he's a great underrated vocalist. He has an amazing range. So with him and Jeff working together, it was really a well done lineup. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long. Even though Soto was announced on the Journey website, he was shortly thereafter dismissed as the lead singer. And Journey was once again um, looking for someone new to front the band. And this is where I will end part 5. Journey does continue, so stay tuned for part 6. As previously mentioned at the beginning of this video, Look in the description below for parts 1 through 4 of this retrospective. Check out my Patreon link. Check out my Facebook. Say hi. Um, and feel free to message me. Feel free to like this video or to not like it, to comment, whatever you like. This is Rob, and it's been a pleasure presenting this to you. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good night. Bye.